and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gracious Lord, we come before you today to just ask that you be with us and guide and direct us as we make the decisions that are best for the county, residents, just doing the best for the county.
I'd like to call the meeting to order and entertain motion for the signing of the claims and minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Need to do a roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Go ahead, Carrie.
Kerry Groninger, yes.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye. We'll start with the prosecutor.
Morning.
Good morning. Good to see you.
I'm here to ask for the Commissioner's approval and oversight of a cooperative agreement renewal for the Senior Prosecutor Hub Grant. Historically, we participated in the Hub Grant. If I could tell you a little bit about what it is. It's particular to child support and 4D cases, and that frequently requires a special prosecutor because of conflict of interest within the county. Traditionally, when you have a special prosecutor, we just ask someone from a surrounding county to come in and take care of the case. But in 4D, it becomes more difficult because it happens so frequently that we don't want to be trading cases and traveling all over. So the Prosecuting Attorneys Council came up with a solution. They decided that we would have one special prosecutor to take care of all cases in each section of Indiana. They creatively named them the Northern, Central, and Southern Districts. So there's one special prosecutor, and they've decided to make that a senior prosecutor, someone who's retired with experience. So there's one prosecutor who handles all conflict cases in all of Northern Indiana. But the problem with that then is that he does not have staff resources, computer access, things like that. So they created what's called a hub county. And the senior prosecutor then takes care of all child support cases, has one staff, one central location where he can work. That location for the last 6 years has been Kosciuszko County. And our staff then helps with senior prosecutors for all of those prosecution cases. They do that on overtime outside of their normal hours. They get paid by this hub grant. So it supports staff. We terminated our contract with the IPAC at the end of last year. So Kosciuszko County will no longer be a hub county going into the future. We've already asked for and been approved to use the grant funds that were left over from 2022 to continue paying our staff through 2023, but the Prosecuting Attorney Council has asked us to stay on while they search for a new county to take on this role. To do that, they've asked us to enter into this cooperative agreement that allows for payment in the same funds that we've always used for the first quarter of 2023, so through March 31st of 2023, and then we'll stay on month to month after that. So I have an agreement here that allows us to stay on as a hub county just on a month-to-month basis after this first quarter until a new county's found. I have a contract and I'm asking for signature on it. It requires the president's signature. So if you approve, just please tell me where to leave our contract, and I'll get it back through the normal channels.
What's the reason the county of Kosciuszko is not going to be a hub county anymore? I mean, was it just not worth the
It was a
hassle?
cost-benefit analysis.
Right.
Carrie, I mean, we were doing a lot of work. The initial vision was that all of our staff could participate in Hub and receive overtime pay from a source down in Indianapolis instead of taking it from our county taxpayers. And it turned out that it'd be really just one person was working it. Mm-hmm. And then just the time and effort it took to maintain a grant and to keep track of all of the hours separately from the hours that we were using for our normal jobs.
Right.
Became too onerous to keep going on.
Understand.
Very good. Okay.
So is there a dollar amount that we're approving this?
Yes, it's all in the contract, Carrie. It's $5,000 for the first quarter and then month to month after that prorated. Okay. It's a $20,000 per year grant.
Okay.
20,000 total.
For the year, for each year in the past, it's been $20,000.
Okay.
Now we're going $5,000 for first quarter, month to month, prorated after that.
Okay.
Okay, I'd make a motion to approve the contract.
Second.
Okay, there's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Kerry Grunier, aye.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You want to leave it with Marcia or Ed or?
Marcia has, or I'm sorry, Rhonda has.
Oh,
something.
Rhonda has it already. Very good. You're a step ahead of us, Rhonda. Thank you. Okay, next is the Kosciuszko County Sheriff with his medical contract.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Jim.
Before you
Morning,
today,
Sheriff.
approval for the Sheriff's Office's contract with the Quality Correctional Care. It's our medical facilitator we've utilized for many years now. Biggest change and the one I'm most excited about inside this contract is the ability we're going to have to increase our mental health portion of it. We're going to go from 16 hours a month to 96 hours minimum a month of mental health for the general population of the inmates in the Kosciuszko County Jail, which is proven statistically that it'll decrease your medical bills, your damage inside the jail, fights, and so on and so forth. So it's a really good thing.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve this contract with Quality Care.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye, or Kerry Grunier, aye.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff. I think that's an example of seeing what the problem is and taking dramatic steps to try to correct them or help make it better in the jail. So appreciate that. Okay, Systems Administrator Bob Momeyer.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bob.
All right, I come before you
Morning, Bob.
today to request approval of a cybersecurity personnel policy. Give you a copy of it.
Thank you.
So you can see the resolution, and then page 3 is the actual policy itself, where we basically stipulate that we'll be working with our employees, doing fish training and testing, and keeping our employees up to date on what's going on out in the world and trying to prevent cyber attacks coming in from that avenue. So
Okay.
that's the purpose of it, and we're just questioning approval so we can move forward with that.
Okay.
Bob, I appreciate your efforts on this. I know this is something we've been talking about for some time, and I think it's just another one of those measures we're putting into place to continue to strengthen our cybersecurity here in the county, and appreciate you working through this for us. So I'd make a motion to approve this ordinance, or, yes, resolution, I guess,
And adopt the resolution.
and adopt the resolution.
I would second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye, Kerry Grunier, aye.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye. Thank you, Bob, for all you're doing on that.
All right, thank
That's
you.
awesome. Sue Ann Mitchell with the, representing the opioid committee.
Morning, Sue Ann.
Well, that's a good information, huh?
Hot off the press, right?
Yeah.
Still warm.
Thank you.
Is that 25 pages, Sue Ann?
It will be when we get done, Brad. Good morning. I'd like to share with you a little bit of information about the opioid grant that we're applying for, or that we hope to be able to apply for based on your approval. The first thing I provide you with is a spreadsheet showing how much money the county expects to get in the long run over the next 17, 18 years. We should be receiving a total of a little more than $1.3 million. So as we got ready to work on this grant, we knew that we have not gotten that money, and therefore we scaled our program way, way back to be sure that we have the money on hand to be able to pay for everything that we're asking to do. The second handout, that's the colored one, has, or at least I believe yours is colored, has the budget, and that shows that our plan is to provide $60,000 for jail counseling over a 3-year period, to provide $45,000 for juvenile counseling, and to provide $300,000 to Fellowship Missions for a building and for counseling to be included in that. The information that we have to submit has got to be emailed by 4:30 this afternoon, and I'm glad to say everything is in order and ready to go. As soon as we finish here, I'll go downstairs and we will get that email sent off with your approval, obviously. The information has been prepared with Bob to sign it. The beauty of the thing is that we met together as a committee. We had more than 20 people who attended the first meeting that was set up rapidly in order to try and meet these criteria. And so we have pulled together sources that I believe our community should be very proud of. We have a lot of people in this community who are trying to work on this opioid issue. And our goal as a committee, which includes Bob Conley and Kathy Groninger and I, the goal of the committee is to not stop here. We're not done just with this grant. We have much work yet to do because we've got to figure out how to spend the balance of the money. The biggest part of the grant required collaboration and sustainability, and we have met both of those, which are very critical, without dipping into other county money. We'll also have other grant opportunities we know coming down the pike. I do have to say thank you to Lisa Harmon, who has been very instrumental in trying to help me figure out how to do this. And one of the things that we found in these groups is something that I want to give Mayor Joe the credit for and his team with Chris Fansel. His CARES program is what we really, really wanted to do. But after we looked at the cost and the impact it would have on the county is not geared up to do that kind of service. It would be totally outside of our bailiwick. And in this short frame, in order to qualify for this grant, we could not pull the pieces together to make it happen. We are not done as a committee. I'm not done as a committee, and I hope the other two will not be done either because we have work yet to do. But the hope would be that we can pull together something so that we can provide that kind of service that Warsaw City is providing under their CARES program to other areas out in our community, to reach out to our whole community and provide that. So those are kind of the high notes. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. There's a lot of repetitiveness in what they ask in this grant. So as you read it, don't think that I've lost my mind because I left the questions in there to prove that I was answering what they were asking. So, and I may have lost my mind along the way too.
There you go.
So at this point, if I could ask for you to approve signing, for Bob Connolly to sign this as the representative for the council, for the commissioners, sorry.
I guess I'd just like to say thank you, Sue Ann. I know you and the others on the committee worked really hard on this in such a short period of time. I mean, when we received this money, we only had a couple weeks to try and put this whole thing together. So appreciate all the after hours and long phone calls and other things that it took to get this ready to be sent, because I honestly didn't think that when I heard the deadline that we were probably going to have to wave off on it this time and wait for another opportunity. So appreciate your diligence in getting this accomplished, and also appreciate your diligence that you're not committing the county to things that we can't afford to sustain long-term. You know, we have these grant dollars in front of us right now, which are great, but it's something that it does run out. So making sure we're not committing ourselves to multiple employees and that overhead and benefits and all the things that go with those on employees into the future. Not that when we can figure out a way to sustain that, I think that that CARES program is a wonderful program and could add value to our community. But we want to make sure we're being good stewards of what we've been entrusted with. So appreciate that. With that, I'd make a motion to approve applying for this grant.
I would second Kerry's motion, and also what he said, Sue Ann, would really appreciate. I know all of you guys have worked hard on it, but I know you've really been burning midnight oil, so thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Kerry Groninger, aye.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye. Very good. blue one, that's not. Okay. Get that back. Thanks, Carrie, appreciate it. Thank you, Sue Ann. I echo those sentiments exactly. I know we had short term there, just 2 weeks to get this thing going, and I got a phone call from her late last night, running some things by so that we had everything the way it's supposed to be. So appreciate that. Area plan, Matt Sandy, is it 9:15? Yep.
Good morning. We've got two rezoning recommendations we're bringing to you. And the first one is for Tom Hardy. And we have a map here so you can see where we're at. So we are down 700 East, southeast corner of the county. And the request down there originally was for a 24.5 acre tract to go from ag to agricultural too. Through the hearing and through discussion with the Plan Commission, the petitioner on his own offered to reduce that back down to 4 acres. So taking, the original was 24, backed it all the way down to 4 acres. With that, the Plan Commission did send a unanimous recommendation to rezone from ag to ag 2. And this is again just for the 4 acres, not the full 24.
Okay. Very good. Is anyone here to speak in favor of this? State your name for us, please.
I'm Tom Hardy, and property owner. And
Okay.
it's farm ground that I don't use, and it's a resident. I mean, there's a lot of families and stuff that use that, walk up and down it. There's like 10 houses and 9 driveways in that little area, and best value, best use of my ground would be to add a couple houses up there. And
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Anyone here to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close to the public. What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
Matt, do you know, as far as our Tom, so that area in the front looks like some of this may be wetlands?
Yeah, there's a small pocket of wetlands, and that came up through the discussion. And the 4 acres will take in just up to it, but won't take it in. They're going to preserve that on their own the rest of the 20 acres.
You know how many, is this going to be divided into lots then, or?
Ultimately, to divide it, they will have to come through a planning process, and I know that there was some discussion there. Ag 2, minimum lot size is 1 acre, but I think at the discussion point, they were talking about at most probably 2, maybe 3, but I think even the petitioner indicated as few as possible.
So all types is not a problem from a septic perspective?
Yeah, good, nice sized lots that somewhere on that site, they should be able to find a septic location.
Yeah. That went through technical review and it
Correct.
was found to be acceptable for that type of thing. Okay.
Brad, do you want to make a motion?
Sure, I'd make the motion that we approve, accept the recommendation of area plan.
Kerry Groener, I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Kerry Groener, aye.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye. Very good. Thank you.
All right. The next one we have for you is James Craig, and this is another rezoning from Ag to Ag 2. This property is just off to the west of Pierceton on 600 East, south of Pierceton Road. And main acreage is 124 acres. However, right in the middle, you'll see on the map, they're looking at rezoning a 3.38 acre tract from Ag to Ag 2 to allow for one more division there. Zoning classifications on the map, you'll see Ag is non-shaded. There's a little bit of residential just off to the side, but you can see the other divisions that have occurred up on the main roads there. So for this one, this was sent to the commissioners with an 8-0 recommendation with 1 abstention to rezone.
Okay. Anyone here to speak in favor of?
Steve Snyder on behalf of Colin Craig. As Matt indicated, the proposal here, part of a family farm, is to keep this acreage in the family, allow a grandson to construct a residence. The second and third pages of what I handed you actually are a copy of the preliminary plat, which will be heard by the Plan Commission tomorrow, assuming you accept the recommendation from the Plan Commission. It's a one-lot subdivision, adequate frontage, adequate space, meets the requirements of A2, and that's simply the only change. There were no more sale-offs available to family members, so here we are.
That's the area in green. It's outlined in green.
Yeah, there'll be a long lane out to the road, and then the residence constructed on the wider area to the west.
Okay, thank you. Anyone here to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public. Yeah.
At the meeting and everything.
Yeah, the nice thing about it is family. They're existed there for decades, and they're just wanting the grandson to have a future and close to grandparents. And the blue section off to, if you see to the left and to the bottom is where his parents live. So the family would be on all this acreage, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the zoning request.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Carrie Gronier, aye.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, guys. That's all I have for you today.
Very good. Appreciate you. Any office holder or department head have business with the commissioners this morning? Seeing none, we'll move on to county attorney,
No public report.
county administrator.
Yes, I have a request. The jail has 3 dryers in their laundry facility. They're all 3 are 22 years old, and they've all 3 been having mechanical, technical issues here in the last month or so.
Yeah.
It's becoming increasingly difficult to keep all 3 running at the same time, so I asked that we replace all 3 of them. I requested 3 quotes to comply with the procurement policy. I only received back 2 quotes, one from Super Laundry of Indianapolis, and 3 dryers would be $22,582.80, and then Coin Automatic, and 3 dryers would be $19,460. Trip charges kind of figures into this. Trip charge for Coinmatic would be $478 as opposed to $95 with Super Laundry. And our other equipment in the jail laundry facility is from Super Laundry out of Indianapolis. So I would recommend that we purchase 3 more from Super Laundry, knowing that they will last us a great period of time. And that would be the 3 for $22,582.80 from Super Laundry.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. We have a
Brad, you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve that purchase.
okay.
Oh, this Carrie Gronier, I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Carrie Gronier, aye.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye. Thank you, Marcia. Is that all you have?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. County Auditor, Rhonda Helser. Very good, thank you. County Highway, Steve Moriarty. We always save the best for last, don't we? It's,
You're right, Bob. No, I'm just joking. Thank you. Good morning. I have 2 things today. The first thing would be that with the community crossings 22-2, which is Old 30 from State Road 13 to 450 East, and then Pierceton Road from the town of Pierceton city limits to the city of Wyonona limits as well. Last week, we opened the bids for those. We had 3 bidders, and the low bid came back at $1,469,013.33, and that was $313,013 lower than the engineer's estimate.
Wow.
So that's a pretty big savings to the county. So I would like to have your permission to accept those bids after reviewing them, they were to our specifications
Okay.
for Finn and Brown.
Finn and Brown, that's huge.
This is our community crossings grant for 2023, correct?
Yes, well, it's the 22 dash. We got it last year,
Right.
but we performed the work this summer.
Go get her done.
I make
Okay.
a motion to approve awarding the contract to Finn and Brown for $1,469,000 and some change.
Okay.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Carrie Groninger, aye.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye.
Then the second thing that I'm bringing you today is the right-of-way service agreement between the LPA and consultant, which the consultant firm is USI Consulting, so that we can move forward with purchasing right-of-way to move forward on our bridge, Bridge 30, which is on Beer Road in Melford.
Okay.
This is also the one we done that emergency repair on a while back.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. Very good. Okay.
Brad?
I'd make that motion that we accept that for USI.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Carrie Groninger, aye.
Brad Jackson, aye.
Bob Conley, aye. Very good. Do you have any
Hey, thank
further?
you very much.
You're welcome. Any further business to come before the commissioners today?
Hello.
Jones Petrie, very good. I guess Steve wasn't last, but
You said the best for last was,
yeah, next to last.
hey, thanks for fitting us on the tail end of your agenda. Here again, talk to you a little bit about East Webster Lake. If you remember, this is a neighborhood that is on the east shore of the lake that has the only portion of Webster Lake that hasn't been served by municipal sewer so far. We've been talking about this for probably a couple of years. Recently, we conducted a meeting with the homeowners and a couple of commissioners, and it was decided at that point in time that we were going to officially go back to the Tippecanoe Chapman Regional Sewage District Board and ask them to consider including this area of 182 homes into their district. And so back here today to have you look at a resolution for including that territory into the Tippy Chapman Regional Sewage District. So that'll start the initiating process of the district considering a project there. This should certainly save time, should certainly save money. I think before the property owners had approached you to form a whole new district, and which is pretty cumbersome and more costly, obviously. So this is probably a good move, I think. So we visited with members of the board at Tippy Chapman at their meeting earlier this month, and they did not have a full attendance. There were 3 people missing that time, and they thought, well, let's delay any decision on this. Let it go to the commissioners, have the commissioners offer the application for the approved application for inclusion, and then we'll consider action on that in their March meeting, which is on the 13th of March.
Okay.
So that's what I'm here to ask you to do. And it seems, so far, the engineering committee members that we've met with and other members of the board, there seems to be some support for it until the board actually convenes on the topic and votes. But they really can't officially vote unless you ask them to. So that's what this is about. And so I would ask if you would consider approving that resolution. The second part of that is that there is going to be some costs associated with it. So far, the board at Tippecanoe Chapman is a little bit hesitant to take money from their currently funded project and fund the initiating costs for the East Webster Lake project. We did receive quotes from the fiscal advisor, legal counsel, and the environmental consultant. JPR will have some costs involved in that, but we're going to hold our invoices until the project is funded because we've already done a significant amount of work on this project with the property owners. And we're doing that at no cost at this point in time. But we want to see the project proceed. These folks have been pretty patient. So that total of those 3 quotes is $40,000. And again, you can send me back to the Tippy Chapman board with whatever decision you make on that, and we'll discuss it with them on the 13th. But for sure, if you could consider this resolution and send that back to them so they can act on it or not. I got a feeling they'll give you a positive response, so.
Okay, so it's a two-pronged thing.
Yes.
One is the actual,
Application to include them,
correct, and then
And-
the funding,
right,
how that's to be funded.
right. And we would understand that would only start here and would have to go to the council for approval.
Okay, very good. Did you hear all that, Brad?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Couple questions I guess I have. Ken, historically, I was thinking that it always got voted on by the sewer board or before we included additional acreage into their district.
Usually it is a request from a property owner
Right?
to the board. And of course, the board can't take that action on their own when the property owner, when the land is outside of their district without the request coming from the commissioners. So we were hoping we were going to get that from them on their meeting earlier this month. But again, they didn't have a full body.
Quorum.
So to try to keep things moving, we thought, well, if we can get the commissioners to agree to request it, then they would be able to vote on it or not at their next meeting, which is in March.
Has there been any sort of a cost analysis done on what they think the sewer rate's gonna be for these people? You know, everybody's happy about getting sewer till they find out what it's gonna cost them.
Yeah,
I guess I wanna make sure that,
definitely. Yeah.
we're not strapping people with something that's unreasonable from a sewer cost.
So the target rate would be similar to what the folks at Tippy Chapman are paying or would be paying at project completion. We did, our engineering analysis was recently updated. Originally, we were just over 4 million for these 182 homes. That has gone up, as every project has gone up in the last 2 years, probably to just over 5 million. However, the $5 million mark is, we would expect this project to score well with the funding agency at the State Revolving Loan through the IFA. And this is kind of the project that hits all of the sweet spots for the SRF, so we're expecting that there will be a significant amount of subsidization to this project. Usually that grant for a project of this size would be substantial. So we're thinking that target rate of, $80 to $90 would probably make it here. We're a long ways from being able to guarantee that, obviously, because there's study work, we have to make application for funding, and then we need to know where it scores on the list of priority projects. So my guess is, as it currently stands right now, the application would end up in FY +25 for the state. So we won't really know what kind of subsidization we'll be able to procure until that time. And at any point in time, and by the way, one of the things I left out that I know you've heard from the property owners in the past, their efforts relative to getting support assumed a fairly significant rate similar to what we're talking about and what we're seeing over at the Tippy Chapman project. And they were able to garner 87% of the residents in support of the project. And I think one of the things that's driving that is that these homes, this neighborhood on the East Shore is one of the most densely developed areas of the lake. So they really have very few options. So, but you're right, Carrie, you're right to be concerned about that. And that's one thing that the Tippy Chapman board, if they decide to take this project over, they're going to have to open up communications with those property owners and continuously update them. Before they, and one of the first things they'll need to do is an update of that study using today's numbers as opposed to, 2019.
So, and this is the one that's gonna use a force main from Knapp Lake that goes
Correct.
to North Webster, and then North Webster would actually treat the waste there,
Right.
correct?
So,
And then, the $40,000 for those initial fees up front, I was thinking historically, we've asked for those to be paid back, correct? So it's more of a loan than it is a
Yes,
a gift.
and you can condition that any way you want. This project, like all projects, would have temporary funding at the outset of the design effort. And you could ask for that reimbursable to be returned to the county at that time. You can tie any condition you want to it, actually, I think, so.
So at what point once this evaluation is done, is that when you would have an idea of what the sewer
Yes.
rates would be
Yep.
closer to?
Yep.
Because I know, fortunately, the state really come in big for us for the Tippy Chapman from a
Yeah.
funding and low interest, and grant opportunities is just
Yeah.
incredible, the money they put into that project
Yeah.
to keep it in a sweet spot that people were not going to be overcharged, so.
Yeah.
If we would delay the vote on this till after the board meets, how big of a problem is that?
Actually, at this point in time, I don't think that's a problem. And the reason for that is that to make an application for FY '24 with SRF, we would have to complete a preliminary engineering report with all of the included information and file by April 1st. So that would be, at this point, pretty impossible.
Right.
So I don't think there's not going to be a dramatic issue relative to that at this point. So they will meet on the 13th of this month, and I can carry that message back to them and let them know that you're
Well,
looking
I mean,
for
this
their
is
support,
definitely
so.
something we support, that we want to see the sewers built out around our lakes to continue to be, taking care of those water, natural resources that we have in our community, just wanting to make sure that, they're up for the challenge. I mean, I know they kind of got bull by the horns right now with a $50+ million sewer project underway. But I think the big pushback that I've had all along is I didn't want to establish another sewer district.
Right.
That I know we were looking at maybe to do something from a county-wide perspective. Well, this allows this project to move forward and not add another sewer district, but still, not cost all those upfront costs, because I know this $40,000, I mean, not saying $40,000 is a lot of money, but I know if we would establish a totally separate district, we're probably in $150,000 to $200,000.
Correct, yeah.
So,
Yeah, it would be a different matter altogether. And of course, that process is relatively cumbersome because it does have to pass back through the state.
Right.
In this case, it appears that the board the trustees at Tippecanoe Chapman understand that there might be some advantages to their group of customers through the economies of scale.
Right.
Adding another 182 customers for things like admin, care and maintenance of the system. They'll see some positive impact there, mostly in, maybe extending the interval between the need to raise rates someday in the future. But they're kind of like you. They believe strongly in the mission.
Right.
And that's very true for that board.
and the homeowners, I know when they had that kind of support from those homeowners, that was when they were probably going to have their own sewer district. Is there any ill feelings of this being part of the Tippy Chapman?
No, actually, this is not the first time that the Tippy Chapman Group has been approached. Obviously, we approached all three regional sewage districts originally, and at that time, Tippecanoe Chapman had just formed. They hadn't actually started to advance their project completely, and I think it was so new to them that they said no, and the other two districts also said no. But at this point in time, the folks at East Webster Lake are very appreciative that the folks at Tippy Chapman are considering it. And I think they would be extremely happy to see it go forward. So they've offered board member appointments. They've also offered to develop a working committee to work with the district board to kind of do all of the legwork and deal with public meetings and those types of things. So, and they're an aggressive group. They've done a good job of preparing their neighborhood for this move, so.
I
Okay,
would agree with that.
I feel like I've
Worked with them
been,
a good amount.
go ahead, Brad. I said I've been doing all the talking. What's everybody else think?
I just said that I agree that they've been a really good, I mean, they're a group that's willing to work and roll up their sleeves and get things done with the dealings I've had with them over the last at least year. I would like to send them off with at least our request, and then we can deal with the loan fund later, if that's okay with you guys.
Sure, I have no issue with that at all. It's acceptable either way, so there's no wrong way to do it, so.
I don't think there's a set procedure that one has to precede the other.
Yeah.
Relative, it's really kind of up to you folks.
Just to let them know that we're on board with it,
Yeah.
we still support it, and we're
Yeah.
willing to make that happen, so. Okay, thanks, Brad. Is that in the form of a motion?
If a formal motion would help the cause, yes, but if it's just as well do it all at the same time later, that's fine as well. I just want to make sure that the board knows that, at least speaking for myself, that I fully support this.
Okay, very good. Okay, is that all you need?
That works for me.
Okay, very good,
I guess,
thank you.
for the
Thank you very
record,
much.
I would,
Good seeing you.
I would state, I fully support this too. I think this is a good option of not establishing a whole nother district for the county.
When they came basically to you and asked to be part of it, and that's huge when you do that. So they understand the need in the future, and the future came to them, actually, so. Okay, thank you. Anything further to come before the commissioners today? If not, we'll see you back here in 2 weeks on the 14th of March.
Thanks, guys. See ya. See ya, Ed.